future for the 4 Ps: people, planet, purpose, and profit. I'm Swanette, and I'm your host. So welcome to my podcast, Holistic Creators. My name is Swanette Kuntze and I'm your host. Today my guest is Mary Powers. She is an intuitive mindset coach and she helps professional women attract more money, better relationships and happiness by clearing the blocks, fears that keep them from receiving. So very welcome to my podcast.
Well, thank you for having me. It's great to be here and to see you again.
Yeah. You already sent me a little bit of information and I'm curious to hear also for my audience, what is your background? Where are you coming from? And yeah, how is your journey been so that you are now here in this place, what you're doing?
So I'm a natural born intuitive, and I have always been involved with metaphysics, even at a young age. I was always turned on by it. I always thought everyone was intuitive. I didn't realize I was special. So I went to college. I actually did get a master's degree in business, and I was working in the business world when all of a sudden it was like in my face, yeah, it's time for you to start getting on track and being the teacher that you're meant to be. And I heard those messages so loud and clear, and that started my journey.
How was it to be an intuitive person in your childhood, or when did it start?
Well, I first started seeing spirit about 3 or 4 years old.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So, and again, I dismissed it. I thought it was normal. And I realized looking back that I had a very higher perspective of life than most 3 or 4 year olds, So everything kind of led to me getting to this place. I was working in the business world when I saw this story about this place called Lilydale, New York, which is a metaphysical community in upstate New York. And next thing I know, I was transferred an hour outside of Lilydale. So I got to get some training there, some formal training, met my teacher, saw her, knew it was her, and life unfolded. I became an ordained minister, professional psychic, certified psychic, I should say, and healer. So that started my journey.
And you said you worked in corporate life before, so having this intuition and then being in a kind of normal job, how does this work?
Right. Well, and understand there was a part of me that was kind of suppressing it. It wasn't allowing it to flow as much because I was caught up in that mindset. But yeah, it's just like I knew things, and when it came to making decisions, I would make them based on my intuition. And, business world, you need facts and figures, and I couldn't say, well, I just know that this is not right. So it was a conundrum. It was tough at times, because you just can't explain something and say, I just know it's right,
Yeah, arguing from this is my intuition when you are in a world where facts are what you have as base for a decision, it's really difficult, I think.
Yeah. And especially if you're in a man's field, where it's all men, and you just can't say, well, women's intuition. That doesn't fly. It does not fly.
So how long have you been in this corporate business world?
I was in there for almost 20 years.
Wow. And then what happened so that you got your call or something that said, okay, now it's really the time to step out?
Yeah, so I was working, and one day I heard people call it the voice of God, and I will tell you it's your higher self talking. And my higher self said, Mary, it's time to be the teacher. And when I heard that voice, it was like, okay, there's no questioning it. You just do it. And so I also got the impression that I was supposed to move. So I moved from the East Coast of the United States to the West Coast. And it just felt like the right thing. And I know it was the right thing. Looking back now, it was perfect. And then I became who I was supposed to be, the psychic and the teacher and the healer.
So this was a huge change, not only moving from one place to another, but also like going into a totally different business.
Yeah, it had to be radical, because truly what I was doing was going from the left brain to the right brain, and it had to be radical. It couldn't be subtle. I had to completely change my identity.
So how was it at the beginning? So like if you have an identity like being a businesswoman and now the identity totally shifts, how was it for you?
I would say it was phenomenal. The only problem that I had with it was energetically, I had to clear away a lot of stuff, clear away a lot of residue that I had, accumulated from being so, a personality, basically. And I'm not saying that I'm not a personality still, but, I had to learn how to receive. I had to learn how to, take in spirit versus constantly do. So there was a huge shift energetically.
Can you give me an example for that shift?
Well, in the business world, I was always on top of things, trying to make things happen, right? Forcing them sometimes. When you are trying to be a psychic and receiving, you have to sit back and relax and just take it in and just observe versus, so it's more of the being instead of the doing, which was a huge shift for me.
I think in our culture it is typical that even, especially when we live in a man's world or corporate business that is based on this mindset that you have to do things and that are very pushy, and then going back and say, okay, now I'm relaxing, doing nothing, seeing what my intuition brings in, and then of course I do the steps that are necessary, but not like acting, but more like reacting, yeah.
Right. And what else was wrong with that is, so I was a woman trying to live in a man's energy, because that's what men do. They're the doers, right? Women innately are the receivers. They are in a state of being. And I had completely forgot what that was like, So not only was it about shifting my identity as a corporate person, it was shifting my identity to fall back into my feminine presence. And which is a problem for many women. They don't recognize that they're trying to be women in a man's world. And we need to learn how to be women in a man's world, but still be a woman, not act like a man.
How did your family and your friends react on your transformation?
I would say that my mother didn't understand it. I would say my friends probably thought I was crazy. Yeah, really, I really shifted a lot of things. But it was a great wake-up call. It was a wake-up call where I was out of balance. It was a wake-up call to see where I was not living authentically. And while that was the start of my journey, there was a lot more that I had to go through. Shortly after moving out west, I got a divorce. And what was interesting was that I was asking the angels for signs about my relationship. And it wasn't until I finally heard, how many freaking signs do you want, that I realized how blind I was. Like, we expect sometimes the big billboard saying, look here or do this, when life isn't always that grandiose. It's sometimes very subtle, and we miss those subtle, messages. And I realized how unbalanced I was, even with my mindset, and how I wasn't living in my truth. And it was a great wake-up call for me. So that's like, even though I made that big move, my real journey didn't start until after I got my divorce, because then I started seeing who I really was and who I didn't want to be anymore.
Can you get a little bit more precise about your identity before and after, and what are the changes in your mindset that you went through?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a part of me that didn't think I was good enough, even though I had done so many great things in my life. On a professional level, yeah, I thought I was worthy and good, but on a personal level, not there, not there at all. And part of it has to do with the fact that with mindset, with, some people call it karma, we get impressions at a young age, and we often take them on from people around us. And I took on my impressions from my mother. And my mother was someone who's very insecure. And she had reason to be. She was an orphan. She didn't have an education, so she always felt not good enough. Well, if you're around someone who demonstrates those characteristics, that's your role model. What are you going to take on, right? You're going to take on the same stuff. And I did. And I realized that I had become my mother. And I had to shift that and recognize, no, you are good. No, you are worthy. And I needed to start modeling that for myself. And I chose a husband who helped bring that out in me. And so, so I had to learn how to receive. I had to learn how to step in my power and to own my power. And here's the funny thing. So my last name is Powers, and it was my husband's name. And when I first got married to him, I couldn't take on his last name. I didn't feel worthy of it. And it wasn't until later that I said, no, I want to own my powers. And so I've taken on the name Powers, and it's brought in a new vibration, a new energy, and a new responsibility. People don't realize how we often push away our power. We disown our power. And I know a lot of people don't understand what that means, but once you finally get it, you go, OMG, I get it now. I was being submissive, or, oh, I didn't own who I really was. I was playing a part for someone else, So I hope that answers your question.
Yes. So you said, of course, you have been influenced by your mother. On the one hand, that you said, okay, I felt that I already became like her, and this is nothing I want to be like. And have there been other influencers, on the other hand, that really helped you to come into your power and to become who you really are now?
As far as that's concerned, I think everyone is a messenger for us. It's just about receiving the message. Yes, there have been tons of people who have been a great influence to me. One of my dear friends, Fred, who was my chiropractor, he helped me to see the mind-body-soul connection, how our emotions, get trapped in our body, and how that we are all one. I've had a lot of great teachers along the way, just too many to even mention. But everything, like I said, we hear is a message, and it's for us to take and receive it. Now, some messages aren't necessarily for us, it may be for the other person, but everything's about how we respond, because our reaction is all about our mindset, right? And if there is no reaction and we're in a place of neutrality, then we're doing good.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the concept of the body, mind and soul connection?
Yeah, I think one person who really highlighted this was Louise Hay with, this whole concept about clearing beliefs, how, when people have problems with their kidneys, that it's usually fear-based, or if they have problems with their liver, it's usually anger-based, or problems with their intestines, it's about not letting go of some crap that they're holding on to, right? And, you can even refine that and determine what it is, using things like muscle testing, scanning the body. You can figure out where you're holding emotions. I remember one of my friends told me that her brother-in-law had lung cancer, some weird lung cancer, and I looked at her and I said, that's because he's really, really angry with a business partner, someone who hung him out to dry. And come to find out, yeah, it was because he was holding on to the grief of a relationship with a business partner who embezzled money from him and killed the business. So because he hadn't let that go, he had developed lung cancer. And people say that that illnesses are hereditary, and I would absolutely disagree and say it's not hereditary. It's the emotion that's hereditary. And what you do with that emotion is what's going to happen to your body. That's why some women get breast cancer. It's not that, and I know there's a gene that says that women are susceptible to it, but I think a lot of it has to do with emotions and what we do with those emotions. And if we live in fear or anger, and it's something that we've never dealt with because it's our mothers or our mother's mothers or our mother's mother's mothers, it's just going to stay there because, we are carrying that DNA. We are carrying that emotion on some level, and it's all about clearing it out.
So you did this for yourself, like clearing your emotional blockages and...
Yes. Yes. Yes, and anytime that I work with a client, I also ask to clear it out of me too, because, we're sponges. We are absolute sponges, and, it's up to us to keep our sponge clean, right? And we don't even realize that, we carry stuff because, again, it's not something that we necessarily had, but it could be something that our ancestors had that we just have carried down, which is pretty common with this whole idea around money, abundance. How is it that people with money seem to have no issues and they make more money? And it's because someone in the family didn't have that issue. And so it's not a taught way to think. They think differently. So, there's something huge about all of the influences that we have and how as children that we perceive what's going on around us and how we interpret it. And even as adults, we interpret things all the time. I mean, that's why people come to see me and they say, well, what is this person thinking? And come to find out what they thought they were thinking is often completely different, right? But it's just because of our filters. And it's about clearing the filters, clearing the mindset.
I can see this also if you have violence in the family. You can see this in the ancestral line. So it comes over from, like the grandparents to the parents to the children.
Absolutely.
And,
Right, absolutely. You've got to break the cycle. And how do you break the cycle? By choosing to clear yourself, right? And sometimes it's easy and sometimes it's not easy. You know, it just depends. It's up to us and our willingness to choose a new perspective.
You just said your clients come to you and having this kind of issues. Can you tell me a little bit more? Who are your clients and what are typical topics with whom they come?
Oh, well, I mostly work with women, professionals, but I do have some male clients. I would say the majority of the people that I work with have issues around family, issues around how they see themselves and their own worthiness, which is tied into their financial success and their personal happiness and relationships. So that's the majority of the people, I would say. But then there's a lot of people who come in and they want to up-level their finances. And so that we work through some issues around their finances and help them to see a different perspective. Because it's amazing how, even though we're not conscious of it, our unconscious mind or subconscious mind is always talking to us, sometimes not in a good way. And it's about stopping that process and shifting the new chatter to something empowering versus disempowering.
How are you doing this? So what are the tools or methods you use?
I have a variety of tools that I use, and it depending on the person and where they are is whatever tool that I choose. There's a lot of work that I do that we go through a series of questions to help them to shift their perspective. We do some role playing, some game playing, and I also do some healing work. So it just depends. When you can figure out what the root problem is, and I help them to narrow down the time frame and what the emotion's about, they can usually figure out what the problem was, and we can reframe it.
Okay, can you give me an example of how does it work? So you do kind of analysis, figuring out what the problem is, going deeper, figuring out what the root of the problem is, and then you change, transform, reframe it. Can you give me an example? So if I would be your client, what would you do with me?
Well, it depends on the situation. So I don't know if I can answer that specifically, but I'm trying to think here. So one client came to me recently and thought that she was stupid. I mean, she's not stupid. She's pretty high up on the food chain in the corporate world. And we reframed it to recognize, no, it's not that you're stupid at all, because it's on the contrary that you are. It's more of, you don't think as quickly as you would like. You're not quick on your feet, which is understandable. People who are not quick on their feet are usually people who are mired in emotion. And because of that emotion, it's like they have to stop, think, process, and see, and do the checks to say, can I say this? Is this smart enough? How does this come across? without realizing that, time is going by, and then they don't speak up because now the time has gone by. And then, a day later or 2 hours later, they go, oh, I should have said this. And it's not that you're stupid. It's just that you have so many filters that you have to go through. It's like an old computer that you have to process. And it's about learning how to eliminate all those filters, eliminating all that processing time so that you do become quicker on your feet. Does that make sense?
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, just for me to understand, or also for my audience to understand, what is your work that you are doing, because people don't often have an idea what it is to change the mindset or to do energy healing, or even sometimes don't know what is coaching. So an example often helps to make it understandable for us.
Okay. So what I do for the most part is, if you recognize that there is an issue in your life and you want to up-level your life, if you want your life to become better, then I am probably the person that you want to come see. I'm going to help you to reframe your thinking. I'm going to help you to recognize your gifts and to help transform any of those areas that you deem weak in your life so that they can become strengths as well. I help people with standing in their power and owning their power. And, well, like my name says, empowers. That's who I am, right? So I help empower people to see a new perspective, to see new opportunities, and to grow their possibilities in life, to make more money, have better relationships, just have a better quality life, basically. So I help people to let go of their pain and suffering, whatever that pain and suffering is. And it doesn't mean that it's physical, it could be emotional or mental. So that's basically what I do. I help people to really own who they are and become more authentic. And it's amazing because I've had a few people who have been in a profession and I've said to them, no, you're in the wrong profession. You should be doing this. And they look at me like I'm absolutely crazy, but because they trust me so much that they're open to investigating it, and then come to find out they recognize, oh my God, she was right. I don't want to be doing what I was doing anymore. I actually hate it. And it's like, it's because there's a new awareness, and that's exactly what I do. I help people to become awake and aware and take on a new personality in life and really, again, be authentic as to who they are.
So it sounds like you are opening a new door for them and then guide them on their journey until they are in their power, and then they can move on and do what is best for them in creating their own life. So it's also it's also like people are often in this kind of victim mode, like life is happening to them. And what you're telling me is that people can create their own life if they unblock themselves from trapped emotions and this hindering beliefs, and figure out what their gifts are, what the power is, and then they are creator of their life. So can you tell a bit?
Exactly. I help people become the creator of their life by design. And you bring up a fabulous point. It's amazing. I don't know if you've ever seen the little educational film around the people playing basketball, the people in the white outfits and the people in the black outfits, right? Yeah. And you're told to, and you're told to look and count the number of times the white people the people who are dressed in white are passing the ball or something to that effect. And my friends were sitting with me watching this movie, and the instructor said, well, who saw the gorilla? And everyone said there was no gorilla in that thing, right? And I looked at my friends like, you didn't see the gorilla? I mean, like, come on. And they all thought we were joking, right? And then when you watch it back, you see the gorilla like in the center of the thing passing the ball. And it's like, well, how come you didn't see that? Like, how can you not see the center of attention is this gorilla? And it's because they're not trained to. And that's exactly what I do, is I help train you to see other possibilities or other things than just what you're told to see or what you expect to see, right?
Yeah. I would like to ask you a little bit about what you can tell the audience about the energy work. So we are grown up in a world where we think everything is material, and now coming back into a different mindset, we understand that energy is first and then like the material is following. So can you tell a little bit about the energy world?
Well, everyone responds to energy, whether you are conscious of it or not. Let's put this into perspective. If you were listening to someone talk and they were talking like this, very monotone, lacking energy, you would probably get pretty disinterested quickly. I mean, you would probably just like tune them out because energetically they're not engaging, they're not vibrant. Whereas you have someone who's, like boom, bam, bang, like you'd be like, whoa, you gotta, they've captured your energy, right? They've captured your attention. Same thing with life. If you're walking around talking like this, do you think the universe is going to hear you? No. But if you're walking around saying, it's mine, I love it, yes, the energy is going to be reciprocated. So that's it on a real basic level. You can understand how energy attracts energy, right? So in life, if we really want to attract something, we have to have energy. We have to have, and I say we have to have energy, of course we have energy, but I mean, we have to have active, engaging energy, right? You can't just say, I wish that job would come to me. We have to take action to get the job. And so it's the same with everything that we want. We have to engage with the energy to attract it. Now that doesn't mean forcing it. It just means being the beacon of light that says, hey, I'm over here. Come find me. The analogy has always been, it's like tuning the radio station, right? If you want to listen to pop music, you don't listen to country. So, what energy signal are you putting out there? Are you putting out one that says engage me, or are you putting one out that says dismiss me? So it's the same. And I help people to recognize what energy they're putting out there. And the same thing with our fears and blocks and all that stuff. We're putting out a vibration that says, hey, if you want to be, abusive to someone, pick me. Or, hey, if you want to see someone power, check out me, So I help people to recognize what that signal is.
How can people figure out what the energy is, or if they're in a high or low energy, and what kind of antenna they do have to attract something special in their lives?
Right, that's a great question, because you have to ask yourself, are you attracting? Because if you're not attracting, chances are your energy is low, right? Who's coming to you? What's coming to you? That's the best way to gauge what your energy is. Like, are things happening for you or things not happening for you? And even though things are happening for you and they may not come to fruition, that doesn't mean that you have low energy. It just may mean that you're attracting a lot of things and letting the real stuff come to you, and your energy is repelling what's not best for you, right? So it's really about what's going on in your life. I got to tell you a funny story. So many, many, many years ago, I had this guy come to me for a reading, and he was a loner. He didn't have a job. He lived in his apartment, and he came to me and he said, tell me something. And I said, well, let me talk to you about your parents, because your parents are both dead, right? He goes, oh, no, don't talk to me about my parents. That's creepy. Okay, all right. So I said to him, well, are you interested in a relationship? No, 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 I don't want a relationship. And I looked at him and I said, well, there's nothing else going on in your life, so what else can I possibly tell you? Because what you do today is going to be the same for tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day, because energetically, you're closed off. So what more can I tell you other than the fact of you're not creating life, so nothing's going to be happening over the next year, right? So it's the same thing in our lives, like, what are you doing to attract something new? What are you doing to engage, that new person, that new job, that new opportunity? Are you just expecting it to come in? Because even with the law of attraction, there has to be a give and take. There has to be energy flow. If there's no energy flow, nothing can happen. So I help people to recognize what energy they're putting out there and what energy they shouldn't be putting out.
And how can I change my frequency if I'm in this kind of low energy, not attracting what I want? What can I do to come into a higher frequency or into more energy?
Another great question. Well, where are you putting your attention, right? Are you putting your attention on low things or high things? Low things would be drama, right? Low things would be, watching horror movies or watching killing on TV, right? Low energy. High vibrational things would be meditation, yoga, connecting with the outdoors, exercising, high vibrational foods, meditation, right? Good music. What uplifts your soul? That is high vibrational. Things that lower your soul or things that are on the denser side, low vibration. So, on the scale, we know that love is the highest vibration. So what things are you doing that's loving, right? That's peaceful, that's inspiring, that's creative, versus guilt, shame, those kind of vibrations.
Okay, I understand. So when I look into the normal television program, for example, a lot of stuff is in low vibration. It's about violence and killing and cruelty and this kind of sick society. And on the other hand, you say, okay, then when we get into this mood and into this frequency, we are programming ourselves to attract things like that, or don't attract anything at all.
Or attracting a lower vibration, right? So it's, if you really want to be in a high vibration, it's about being in that place of gratitude and love. It's about, being an inspiration, being of service to others, right? And I said service, I mean helping people, but not expecting something in return and not doing it at your own sake. Like, it's like you're taking care, not a caretaker. So, assisting someone is great, but enabling someone is not great. Different vibration.
So this is really about a special lifestyle. Yeah.
It doesn't have to be special. It just means being mindful. How are you showing up in the world? That's basically what it's all about.
Have you ever always been in this higher vibration, or have there been moments when you felt also very down and in lower frequency?
If everyone could stay up in a high vibrational frequency, I'd be surprised. We're human. We're not perfect. Of course, I go into low states too, but it's a matter of how quickly do you get out of them that matters.
Yeah.
Because we do hear sad news, and when you hear those sad news, it's hard not to lower your vibration to go, oh my gosh, right? It's like sadness comes in, right? I had 2 dear friends pass away in the past month. of course I got sad. Now, the truth is I recognize that they're not dead per se, because, their vibration still carries on. It's just the sadness of me losing that physical connection with them. And so, yes, my energy, of course, dipped. But then how quickly do I get out of it and recognize, but they're still here,
Yeah. Okay, so let's perhaps get a little bit vulnerable now. So you told me about one situation where you really have been down and in your life. Perhaps you want to share this so that our audience can understand, even if someone is in this deep mood, how to come over it and how to grow again and yeah, to be a model for other people.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, I have had a dark night of the soul, like many people have had. And, there was a point that I thought, why do I want to be here on this planet, right? Why do I want to be here? Like, I have such pain right now. And, no, not that I would have honestly have killed myself or anything like that. But, when you get into that dark place, it's pretty dark. And you want to just climb out one way or another. And in that moment, I had an aha moment. I realized I was playing the victim to life. And I wasn't creating my life. And now I'm talking about, this is years ago, right? I just recognized how much of a victim I was playing. And I knew that in order for things to change, I had to change. And so that's when I became very aware of my mindset, of where my wanderings of my mind went, where I was placing all of my thoughts, my consciousness, or lack thereof, right? I recognized that I was very negative. I had this negative mindset. And again, this is what I learned from my mother. And, my father also had fear as well. So this is what I grew up with. And I recognized that I had a choice. I could embrace the same CD that was playing in my head, or I can create a new one. And that's where I said, you know what, it's time for a new song in my head. And it's got to be more empowering. And so that's where I am.
So,
and again, I'm not perfect yet. I mean, who is, right? But it's about degrees of what you choose to see. And as we go up that spiral, we have a greater understanding and view of what's going on in our world. And, you'll start seeing the gorillas in your life, right? You'll start seeing other things that you were just couldn't see because you weren't in that mindset.
Yeah, but it's also interesting to hear that this was part of your journey too. So you really understand your clients in their journey because you have been through all of that before.
The greatest teacher is the one who's walked the mile in their shoes, right? And I have, as other great teachers have. And it's a matter of just for people to recognize they have a problem and to do something about it. That, life isn't where they want it to be, and it's got to shift.
Yeah. So can you tell the audience a little bit more about your work? So what are the services you offer, the programs or courses, so that people who are interested to work with you can understand a little bit more about that?
Sure, thank you. I'm not sure when people are going to be listening to this, but I do have a challenge coming up on August 24th about jumpstarting your money flow. So if anyone wants to learn how to shift their perspective around money, it's a free challenge, and I would highly encourage you to sign up. You get 5 days of my coaching for free. You can't get any better than that. And you can find that challenge on my website, and my website name is mary-powers.com. And it's right there on the front page. I also will be doing another program coming up in early October. It's called The Art of Receiving, and that's for women especially, because women are never taught to receive, they're taught to give. And so it's very hard for them to learn how to receive. And I'm going to be doing a class on the art of receiving, not only learning how to receive your goodness, receive things in life, but also to tap into your intuition so that you can use it for business or just for your own personal growth. And as well, I also do one-on-one coaching. And my coaching is tailored specifically to your needs as to what challenges you have in life and where you want to get to. And we talk about how we can get you there and the steps, and then we actually do it. And for those people who are interested in learning more about that, I do have a discovery call that you can reach me at. And you can just email me at mary@mary-powers.com, and I'd be happy to talk to you and see if that's something that would be of interest and how I can help you there. And again, that right now for your clients would be free. Yeah, so I've got a bunch of things coming up, but those are the top ones right now. We're going to be doing, so with this challenge, there's also going to be a lot of healing work that's going to go on, because this world needs healing. Even with what's going on right now, it's about changing our perspective and having more of that 2020 vision of what's going on versus all of the chaos and the smoke screens that are going on, whether yours or whether the world's.
Yeah. Are you also on social media somewhere, Facebook?
Yes.
Something like that?
Yes, I am on Twitter as well as Facebook and Instagram, but mostly Facebook. You can find me there. I do have a group that I would love to invite you to. It's Awaken Your Soul Wisdom, and it's a private group where I post things. I do free readings and whatever else that inspires me to do. So I would love for people to join that as well.
Okay, great. So I will put the links to your website, to your challenge, and also to your social media under this podcast. So it is very easy for my audience to reach out to you. Okay?
Fantastic. Thank you.
So now finally, I would ask you if you have 5 beneficial tips for the audience that will help them for the future.
Absolutely. So here are things that I would highly suggest that people do. And to do this on a daily basis, because if you really want to shift your energy, these are 5 easy things that you can do. So one of the things to do is to clear your energy. Now you may say, well, how the heck do you do that? Well, it's not that difficult. So one of the ways that I like to do it is when I get into the shower, I imagine that the water coming down is cleansing my body, my aura, my energy body, and just seeing all the crud going down the drain. Now you can do this with water, or you can imagine yourself sitting outside in the wind and the wind blowing it away. You can, do whatever feels right for you. But that's the way that I'd like to do it, is through the shower. And you can do it while in the shower, or you can do it outside of the shower. You can just sit right here and watch the rain coming down, clearing your soul. The other thing to do is to ground your energy. Now, grounding your energy is merely imagining that you've got roots coming down from your feet into the earth, anchoring you into the earth. Now, you may say to yourself, well, if I want to raise my vibration, why would I want to ground myself? Well, because there's a law of balance. So you have to have balance. By grounding your energy, it allows you to go higher into your vibration. It's like putting a pole into the earth. The deeper that pole goes, the higher the pole can be. If you have a low pole, you can only, if you only have a pole in the ground in a low level, then it can't be very high or it'll topple over, right? So you want to ground yourself. Another thing to do is to protect your energy. How do you protect your energy? Well, through an intention, through the intention of only that energy that is meant for me, that's for my highest and best use, comes to me. Everything else is repelled. However you want to say that. Okay. Some people actually have a sacred geometry or a symbol that they place around their body. And again, through intention, it doesn't have to be physical. Or if you do have something that's, and I'll use the example like a cross. If you put the cross on, that you know that every time you put this cross on, you're protected. And again, it's all about the intention. So we have clear your energy, ground your energy, protect your energy, and the fourth thing would be to hold an intention for the day. So what do you want the day to be? So when you wake up in the morning, have an intention for the day. My intention for today was to have a beautiful podcast with Swanette and to have a great day in general. So what intention do you want to hold for the day? And the last thing to do is pay attention to where your focus is during the day. If you want to have a lovely day, where is your mind? Is your mind thinking lovely thoughts? Or is it thinking you're not good enough? You don't have enough money? What is it thinking? And pay attention to where you're placing your energy, because, you know, where energy goes, attention flows. So if you really want to become more awake and aware, pay attention to where you put your energy. I mean, that is the easiest thing that you can do, and it's going to have one of the greatest results. And when you have that mind wandering someplace where you don't want to be, you need to stop. You need to say, okay, let's reframe this. Where do I really want to be, like in my mind? Or what do I want to really be thinking about? Stop there and go into that place of gratitude. Go into that place of, I am love, I am beautiful, whatever needs to shift. And using those 5 techniques throughout the day, you will shift your energy so quickly. And it may not be the absolute place where you need to be, but it's a great start.
Wow, thank you so much. That was very inspiring again. And yeah, it was an honor for me to have you today as my guest in my podcast. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me. It was great, great being here. And yeah, I would love to hear from your clients. I really want to help people to get the most out of life, you know. I've changed so many people's lives, or they let me change their lives, helping to be the guiding light for them. And that's what I want to be in this world. I want to be a guiding light to help people to see their own truth, their own light, and to step into their magnificence.
Yeah, this is so wonderful. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you.
So see you soon, and
all right.
have a good day.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Bye.